Adrien Drake is as a commercial loan specialist at Celtic Bank. Adrien's respect for the risks that entrepreneurs take is the secret to his success. Just like his small business clients, he knows what it's like to take a life, changing risk and not know the outcome. And Melissa Nagata. Melissa Nagata is a talented underwriter. Wow, that's a lot, underwriting. That's hard to do. Who in less than 5 years after starting her finance career at Goldman Sachs as an operations analyst, became a senior underwriter and team lead of commercial credit operations at Celtic Bank. Welcome to the two of you. There's a mic and also, hi, it's me again.
Perfect. Hi.
I'll mic too.
So good morning, everyone. We're the boring bankers today. Okay, yes, not that
Our
boring.
bank has a bar, I will let you know.
Oh, yeah.
It does, in fact, have a bar. So again, my name is Melissa. I'm getting over a little bit of a case of laryngitis, so I apologize if my voice cracks at all. I am not actually going through puberty again. But before we really get into kind of what Celtic Bank is, because I'm sure many of you probably not have heard of us, or if you have, it may be in relation to us being an SBA lender. But again, particularly with the two of us, when we started with Celtic, we didn't really know what SBA lending was. So I'm briefly going to go over what is SBA lending, so you'll kind of have a general idea as to what that is. So the SBA is the Small Business Administration, which was started in 1958. So we've been doing small business loans for quite some time now. And what it does is basically a lender will initiate a loan to a small business, and if the SBA agrees with the underwrite and the use of proceeds and all of that, depending on the type of loan, they'll actually help guarantee that loan. Because a lot of these SBA loans are out there to help those small business owners that, maybe for a couple of years their business didn't look that great, didn't cash flow for whatever reason, or maybe there's some personal credit issues, bankruptcy, a few late payments that maybe a conventional lender might disqualify them for. But obviously there's a need for lending for these kind of small businesses. So that's why the Small Business Administration is there, and banks like Celtic Bank, so we can be there to take a look at your overall credit, hear your story, get your explanations, to really understand if you're credit worthy. And then if you are, which in most cases we do approve loans that come into our bank, we will give you these proceeds to help you improve your business. And so these loans could either be, say, for working capital, purchasing inventory, maybe buying another business, even purchasing real estate. There's kind of a whole host of things that you can use these small business loans for. We focus on kind of two groups of small business loans in terms of small and large. So for us, the SBA, small is anything that is up to $350,000, which again, small is all relative. For me personally, $350,000 is huge, but where our large loans go up to $5 million, relatively speaking, $350,000 really isn't that big. And so in general, that is kind of, in a nutshell, what the SBA does. And so in terms of Celtic Bank and our role with the SBA, the Celtic Bank, we've been around since 2001. So if you're comparing us, say, to Wells Fargo, Chase, even Goldman Sachs, we are a very, very young bank. We started doing home mortgages, credit cards, things like that. But we got out of those primarily in the mid-2000s, and obviously we all remember 2008. And since then, we've really been focusing on increasing monumentally our SBA portfolio. And particularly that's what Adrien and I do. So he's on the sales side, bringing in the deals to the bank, and what my group does, and I lead a team of underwriters who looks at these loans to determine their credit worthiness, and then present them either to our loan committee or to what we call a delegated authority like myself, that we can then sign off on these loans and get these loans out to small business owners like yourself as quickly as possible. So then as you can see in 2018, we really continued to hit our stride there in terms of being the largest SBA lender in the nation. So again, we're going up against the big guys, whose probably entire SBA departments are the size of our bank, and we are roughly about 270 people. And so like our average SBA loan is about $350,000. We approved 1,200 of them in 2018, and in 2018 we also approved about $422 million in loans. So we do loans all across the nation, but one of our biggest things that we want to do is focus more on Utah, because relatively speaking, we don't have a ton of deals that our business development officers focus on in Utah. So we've created a new product that Adrien is going to go over shortly, that are microloans, which are between $1,000 and $5,000, to kind of help really kickstart or continue in a small way your small businesses, because in a lot of cases you don't really need these huge loans to help your business. You might need a smaller one to kind of get something started, buy a little bit more inventory, and so that's what we're trying to focus some of our attention on, are these smaller loans to kind of help the local community. So I'll pass this off to Adrien for him to kind of go over that.
Perfect. So like Melissa said, Celtic used to primarily be a mortgage company. Before, I believe it was Salt Lake Mortgage is how we started. So when I was talking to Linda, which is our chief marketing officer, my boss, she mentioned that here we are, this top 10 SBA lender, and we don't have the same community we used to have to service our local communities. So to help out with that, we kind of developed this microloan program to help allow small businesses access to capital. And with this in mind too, we also offer another range of products that, like Melissa said, it's our $25,000 up until $5 million that can also help you out. But if you're looking to start a business or get access to some small capital, this is definitely a great product. So, perfect. So why a microloan? So our microloans are smaller amounts. They're about $1,000 to $5,000. One thing about them is that it may be a small amount. However, there are multiple benefits to go ahead and try looking at these. There are, if you're looking at a business, you don't have any credit history. That's one reason. You can get access to like a smaller amount, as opposed to a traditional loan. A lot of lenders will want some business history. Unfortunately, some people are wanting to start businesses, so they don't always have that business history. So when we're looking at a business, we can look at a new one. And so ways to use it, so there are different ways that you can use a small amount of capital to help your business. A lot of things that we do sometimes for $5,000, you kind of wonder what can you do with that. One way to use that is to either launch a small marketing campaign. You can develop a new product, you can use that product or use the amount to kind of get feedback on your product before you launch a larger amount. And then of course to buy inventory, maybe hire a new employee to help you guys out. And so one thing that people don't really take into consideration when they're looking at an amount like this is why not just open a personal credit card? One thing that is good is to establish a relationship with the lender. Right now we might be offering $1,000, $5,000, but later down the line that can turn into a $25,000 loan, a $150,000 loan. There is a report called Dun & Bradstreet, which kind of is, Melissa, do you know a little bit more about Dun & Bradstreet?
Mm-hmm. So this report, and this is something that we pull on all of our borrowers, provides some basic information about your company, how many employees are there, liens, any judgments, any lawsuits against the company, anything related to credit, like how many credit lines have been out there, what kind of maximum credit that you've had, your payment history, everything like that, so that we can get a general idea along with kind of your personal credit, how your business credit has looked, and that's kind of an important aspect of our determination as to whether or not we should lend to you based upon all the information that's been reported to this company.
So back on that, before we go to the next slide, like I said, opening the door to financing. Right now we may be only extending an offer for maybe $1,000 or $5,000 or maybe more, but I've seen a lot of businesses come back maybe a year later or so and come back for $150,000 loan. I just closed a deal yesterday that was for $150,000 for a startup business that we did a year ago. When she came back, she had gotten a new client, and we denied her about a couple of months back, and then she came back after paying off some personal debt, and we approved the loan. Through doing that, she met a goal of about $1 million more than she was making by being able to hire a new employee, along with actually settle for a contract for the new services. So it's nice to see repeat businesses. It's nice to get a nice little text like that. Of course, that kind of warms my heart. But and so one thing that a lot of people do when they're starting a business is get an equity investor. They're good on paper. However, a lot of the times when you get somebody involved in your business too early, you can end up being an employee of the business rather than an actual owner. So one thing is to kind of lean more towards maybe getting a loan or some sort of line of credit or financing before considering an equity investor. Some people are a little bit afraid to take on debt. However, at the end of the day, you can maintain ownership of your company. And with this product in particular, let's go to the next slide. So our microloan product is $1,000 to $5,000. It's over a year term. Our interest rate right now is 9.99%. Over the 12-month term, it's interest-only payments, and then the sum due at the end of the 12-year term. While this might not sound desirable, one of the best qualities of this loan product is that there's no personal guarantee, so there's no credit pull. There's no risk of your own personal credit being at fault when we're approving this loan. The only thing that we'll really look for is just going to be a description of how you want to use the money, a good repayment plan, business plan. We'll want to understand the business ownership, and of course have a checking account to draft payments from every month. I'm going to go on to the next slide. And so our application process for this loan product is fairly fast. I'd say it gives about a week turnaround time. So once we get an application, we'll go ahead and you can fill out a link or fill out an application through the link provided right here, which we have flyers for at the back of the room if you are interested. After submission, we'll go ahead and have an underwriter assigned to your deal. And when we make a decision, it typically comes within a week, and funding comes within 2 business days from closing your loan. One thing about this loan is that, like I said, it could open the door to more future financing, which could help you guys out. And Melissa will probably be the one approving your deal.
Probably.
So, did you guys have any questions about anything, or have any questions about financing, Celtic Bank, loan products?
Could you go back to the last slide? Just a
Yeah.
little bit more time to look at the requirements. Were you saying that you open checking accounts?
So we don't. We're not a traditional bank where we have checking accounts to kind of add to our assets. We actually just do primarily lending. And with that in mind, we, as far as the requirements for this loan, we'll just require that you have a checking account. Like
So how do you compare to Micro Enterprise Loan Fund here in Salt Lake?
I'm not familiar with the program. Do you mind sharing a little bit about it? I can.
Well, the Micro Enterprise Loan Fund is funded by the state.
Right.
And this is private.
Private.
Right. And I believe the requirements and the terms are a little different.
Yeah, they go up to
higher.
50,000.
50,000. So we can consider, if you are interested in a little bit more, we can consider maybe a $25,000 to $150,000 working capital loan. Typically our terms for that are going to be about 10-year term, 7.75% right now, no prepayment penalties, and they're unsecured for the most part, which is purely desirable. Aside from that, do you have anything else, Melissa?
Microloan fund is also, they just recently, within the last 6 years, went up to 50,000, it used to be capped at 25,000. And you need to go there if you can't qualify for traditional underwriting, to build that credit. So that's where it might be a little bit of
Yeah,
difference.
if anyone is looking to build business credit, this is a great way to start. There is no personal credit involved, which is something that a lot of lenders will pull regardless. So that's a great starting point, and it can open the door to different ways to go ahead and get a business off the ground, whether it be a lead list, maybe getting some working capital to hire an employee, or various options equipment. But thank you guys.